Hey everyone, ready to jump into some Flutter.
Sounds good to me.
Today we're looking at bringing data to life. Using dynamic charts and graphs.
That's right, making your apps more visual and engaging.
Exactly. We found this really cool technical blog post. It's actually in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it goes deep on how to make these dynamic graphs in Flutter.
Awesome.
So today's deep dive, our mission is to help you figure out which Flutter libraries will work best for your data visualization projects.
And of course, how to really make those visuals pop, right?
Totally. Let's start with the why. Why are dynamic visualizations so important?
Well, think about it. Static graphs are so last century. Dynamic visualizations give you that real-time data update.
Okay, I see. So your apps become way more insightful, more engaging.
Exactly. Imagine stock tickers, live dashboards, and reports all updating right in front of you.
Wow, that's a game changer. What about the user experience?
It's night and day. You get interactive features like zoom, pan, tooltips.
Oh, so users can actually explore the data on their own terms.
You got it.
Yeah.
They're not just passively looking at a static image anymore.
So how do we make this happen in Flutter? What tools do we have?
Well, Flutter's got a great ecosystem for this, tons of powerful libraries. Our source points to two big ones, Full Chart and syncfusion Flutter charts.
Oh, a little head-to-head competition. Let's start with Full Chart.
Full Chart is all about simplicity. Really easy to use and customize, perfect for creating those classic chart types quickly.
Straightforward. Line charts, bar charts, pie charts, all that good stuff.
You got it. The source even has this code snippet showing how simple it is to get started.
Nice. I'm looking at it now. Very clean code. This is curved property.
Ah, that's a cool one. It lets you control how the lines in your chart look. Straight lines or, add a little curve for that extra polish.
Ah, so Full Chart is a great option for simple, clean visualizations. But what if you need something more, well, powerful?
If you're dealing with really complex data or need some seriously advanced visualizations, you'll want to look at syncfusion Flutter charts.
Okay, this sounds like the big leagues.
It is. It's got a massive library, over 30 chart types, and a ton of advanced features.
Wow, and it can handle those giant data sets without breaking a sweat.
Exactly. Plus, it's super flexible. You can create some truly stunning visuals.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example of what syncfusion Flutter charts can do that maybe Flutter can't.
So imagine you're building a dashboard to track website traffic.
Okay, yeah, pretty common use case.
With syncfusion Flutter charts, you could build an interactive bar chart showing traffic from all your different sources.
Nice, and I'm guessing you can add those tooltips we talked about?
Absolutely. Just a few lines of code, and boom. You hover over a bar, get detailed info about that data point.
That's super user-friendly. So we've got Full Chart for simplicity, syncfusion Flutter charts for power. But what if you want something truly unique, something that doesn't fit into those pre-made boxes?
Then you go custom, my friend. That's where CustomPainter comes in.
Okay, this sounds a bit more free-form.
It is. Think of it like a blank canvas. You have total control over every aspect of your visualization.
But with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Exactly. There's definitely a steeper learning curve with CustomPainter. You need to know your way around Flutter's drawing APIs.
Makes sense. Our source does have an example of a custom line chart built with CustomPainter, so at least there's a starting point.
Absolutely. And it's a good reminder that libraries are great, but they're not the end-all be-all. Flutter gives you the tools to go way beyond them.
All right, so we've talked libraries, but now let's make these charts really come alive. How do we add interactivity?
Interactivity is what makes dynamic visualization so powerful. Zoom, pan, tooltips. These features let users really explore the data.
And it makes the whole experience more engaging, right? Not just looking at a static image.
Totally. And the best part, libraries like syncfusion Flutter charts make adding these features super easy.
I'm sure they've got code snippets for all of that.
Of course. They even have examples for adding smooth animations to your charts, making them even more visually appealing.
Oh, I love a good animation, like a line chart that smoothly updates as new data points come in.
Exactly. Subtle, but makes a huge difference. Okay, we've covered functionality. Now let's talk aesthetics.
Right, because we want our charts to look as good as they perform. First impressions matter.
Absolutely. And Flutter gives you a lot of flexibility to customize the look of your charts.
Well, it's 2024. Got to make sure these charts look good in both light and dark mode.
No worries, they can handle it. Our source even shows how to adjust colors dynamically based on your app's theme.
Oh, that's handy. So whether it's light background with dark lines or vice versa, our charts will always look sharp.
Precisely. And don't forget about labels and legends. Those can get messy, especially with large data sets.
Ugh. Yeah, nothing ruins a good chart faster than a jumbled mess of text.
But with syncfusion Flutter charts, you have total control over label styling and placement.
Nice. Can you even rotate those labels for better readability?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about making sure your visualizations are clear and easy to understand, even with tons of data.
So we've talked interactivity, theming, labels, but what about when you have massive data sets? That's got to impact performance, right?
That's a common challenge, but there are ways to optimize.
Okay, tell me the secrets. How do we keep our apps from slowing to a crawl when dealing with mountains of data?
One trick is to limit the number of visible data points. Instead of rendering everything at once, focus on what's immediately relevant to the user.
Oh, like those infinite scroll feeds where you only see a few posts at a time.
Exactly. And libraries like syncfusion Flutter charts have tools for this. They even have pagination, which loads data in chunks as needed.
Pagination, I like that. It's like breaking a giant book into chapters. Makes it much more manageable. But what if you do need to show a lot of data in real time, like a stock ticker?
For real-time scenarios, Flutter's streams and futures are your best friends. They allow for dynamic data loading and updating.
So the charts stay up to date without overwhelming the app. That's awesome. Streams and futures sound powerful. I'm starting to see how much you can do with Flutter.
It's all about choosing the right tools and understanding how to optimize for performance. Once you've got that, the possibilities are endless.
So we've covered libraries, customization, even tackled big data. What else do we need to know to become dynamic data visualization masters?
Well, now it's time to move on to some more advanced techniques. Things like combining different chart types in a single visualization, or creating synchronized charts that work together seamlessly.
Combining chart types. Sounds interesting. Could you have a line chart for overall trends with a bar chart to highlight specific events?
Exactly. It adds depth and context to your visualizations. You can tell a more complete story with your data.
But I bet that comes with its own challenges. Aligning axes, managing different scales, keeping things visually clear.
It can get tricky, but Flutter's layout system is super flexible. You can position your charts precisely and control every detail of their appearance.
It's amazing how much control Flutter gives you. Combining that with the power of dynamic data visualization is really exciting.
Absolutely. And as you get more comfortable, you can explore even more advanced techniques. 3D charts, custom animations. The sky's the limit.
3D charts, now you're talking. I'm already getting ideas. So to wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are the key takeaways for our listeners? What should they be thinking about?
The most important thing is to experiment and have fun. Try new things, explore different libraries and techniques, see what works best for you.
And remember, data visualization is more than just pretty charts. It's about using data to tell stories, communicate insights, and help people understand the world around them.
We've only scratched the surface of what's possible with dynamic data visualization in Flutter. So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive into even more advanced techniques and some truly mind-blowing examples.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive on dynamic data visualization with Flutter.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Last time, we really dug into the why and the how of bringing data to life, with those interactive charts and graphs. We even talked libraries and optimization.
Yeah, we covered a lot, but we've got some advanced techniques to make your visualizations even better.
Ooh, like what? I'm intrigued.
Well, think eye-catching gradients, and how about perfectly synchronized charts working in harmony?
Gradients, those always look so cool. Our source talked about using those with felt chart. Is that straightforward?
Oh, totally. Remember the line chart bar data we talked about?
Yeah, vaguely.
Well, it's got this property, colors, where you can actually put in an array of colors.
Wait, so instead of one flat color, we get smooth transition.
You got it. Multiple colors equal a gradient effect, either across lines or bars.
That's awesome. I'm already picturing heat maps, charts that show like data intensity through color.
Exactly. The source even have this example, a gradient that shifts from red to blue across a line chart. It's subtle, but really adds that visual appeal.
That's cool. Okay, switching gears for a sec. Let's talk about chart synchronization. We touched on this before, but I think it needs more attention, especially for dashboards, right? Multiple charts working together.
Totally agree. Chart synchronization is all about that smooth user experience. Imagine you've got, say, a line chart showing stock prices over time,
Yeah.
and then a bar chart showing trading volume for each day.
Yeah.
Now, if those charts aren't synced up, zooming or panning one doesn't affect the other.
Right. That could get really confusing for a user trying to understand the data.
Exactly. It creates this fragmented view. So the goal is you interact with one chart, all the others respond accordingly, stay in sync.
Makes sense. But how do we actually do that in Flutter? Sounds complicated.
It's simpler than you think. One of the most effective ways is to use a shared data source for all your charts.
Wait, so instead of each chart having its own data, they all pull from one central source.
You got it. That way, any update to that source automatically updates all the charts. Instant synchronization.
Ah, like a single source of truth for all your data. I like it. And Flutter has tools for this, right?
You bet. State management tools like Provider or RiverPad are perfect for creating and managing that shared data source.
Elegant solution. But I'm thinking, even with that, there are challenges with synchronization, especially with user interaction,
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure. Like what happens when a user zooms in on one chart? Do all the other charts zoom to the same spot?
Or maybe you want them to show a different perspective on the data.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Yeah.
It all comes down to what you're trying to achieve with your visualization.
So we need to think carefully about those interactions, how we want the charts to behave.
Right. And then use Flutter's gesture detection and event handling to make it all happen.
Makes sense. Speaking of making things happen, our source mentioned combining different chart types in one visualization. That sounds really cool.
It is. It's a powerful way to show a more holistic view of your data. Tell a more complete story. Like imagine a line chart showing overall trends,
Okay, yeah.
but then you overlay a bar chart to highlight specific events or data points.
Oh, I get it. Like a stock chart that shows the price trend, but then has markers for news events or earnings releases.
Exactly. It helps you see those connections more clearly. Or even a line chart of website traffic with bars for marketing campaigns. You can see how those campaigns impact traffic.
It makes those correlations so much more visual and easy to understand, really powerful stuff. But combining chart types must get tricky in terms of design.
Oh, it can be. Aligning axes, managing different scales. It's easy to end up with a visual mess if you're not careful.
So how do you keep it clean and organized?
Don't worry, Flutter's got your back. Its layout system is powerful enough to handle it. You can use widgets like Stack and Positioned to get those charts exactly where you want them.
It's impressive how Flutter gives you that control, even when you're getting into these more complex techniques.
I know, right? It's a great balance of power and ease of use.
So we've got gradients, synchronization, combining chart types. We're really digging deep into dynamic data visualization here.
We are, but we're not done yet. In the final part, we're going to zoom out a bit. Look at the bigger picture of data visualization.
Ooh, I'm curious. What's next?
We'll explore how to present data in a way that's not just visually appealing, but also accurate, meaningful, and engaging.
So we've learned the how-to, but now it's about the why.
Exactly. What stories are we telling with our data? And how can we use these tools to communicate those stories effectively and responsibly?
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We've talked libraries like Chart and syncfusion Flutter charts.
Mhm.
We've gotten into gradients, synchronization, all those cool techniques. But now let's shift gears a bit.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time on the how of data visualization. Now it's time for the why.
Okay, I like that. So we've built our toolbox. Now we need to figure out what to build, right?
Exactly. It's important to remember that data visualization is more than just charts and graphs.
Oh, there's more to it than that.
Way more. It's about communication. We're using data to tell a story, to help people understand complex information.
So it's not just about making pretty pictures.
Not at all. There's a real purpose behind it. And that purpose should guide every decision we make.
Okay, I'm listening. So we're storytellers now, but how do we make sure we're telling the right story? I'm guessing there are some traps we can fall into.
Oh, absolutely. One of the biggest challenges is avoiding bias.
Bias. How does that work with data?
Well, data is rarely neutral. The way we present it can subtly influence how people interpret it.
You mean even if we're using accurate data, we can still mislead people?
That's right. It's like taking a photograph. You can frame the scene in a way that emphasizes a certain perspective.
Oh, I see. So even small design choices can change how people see the information.
Exactly.
Can you give us an example of how this bias can sneak into our visualizations?
Sure. Imagine you're making a chart to show sales trends for a new product.
Okay, classic business scenario.
Now, if you use a truncated y-axis, starting the scale above 0, you can make the growth look way more dramatic.
Ah, sneaky. So it's technically accurate, but it paints a misleading picture.
Exactly. Or you could use bright colors for certain data points to create emphasis. It leads people to conclusions that maybe the data doesn't fully support.
So even seemingly harmless design choices can be manipulative. It's like those misleading infographics you see online.
That's why transparency is so important.
Yeah.
We need to be upfront about the choices we've made and provide context.
So things like clear access labels, source information, and explaining any calculations.
Exactly. We need to give our audience the tools to think critically about the data.
Like, it's the difference between showing someone a magic trick and explaining how it works. Transparency helps build trust.
I like that analogy. And beyond transparency, we need to think about accessibility.
Accessibility, as in making sure everyone can understand the data.
Exactly. Are we using colors and fonts that work for people with visual impairments? Are there alternative ways to access the information for people who can't see the charts?
Right, we don't want to exclude anyone. Everyone should be able to engage with this beta.
Absolutely. Data visualization should empower everyone.
Okay, so we've got storytelling, bias, transparency, accessibility. What are some final words of wisdom for our listeners as they start creating their own dynamic data visualizations?
Remember, data visualization is powerful, but it's only as good as the intentions behind it. Create visualizations that inform, that inspire, and always tell the truth with your data.
That's great advice. We've learned so much in this deep dive.
Me too.
But as you said, it's just the beginning. There's always more to explore in the world of data visualization.
That's the exciting part. It's a constantly evolving field.
It is. So keep experimenting, keep pushing those boundaries, and most importantly, have fun.
And don't forget the Flutter community. There's a ton of support out there if you ever get stuck.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into dynamic data visualization with Flutter.
It's been a blast.
We hope you learned a lot and feel inspired to create some amazing visualizations of your own. Happy coding!